Hi, girls. Welcome to another episode of Girls Who Get It. Let me get comfortable. I wanted to do a little bonus episode because I feel like it's always good to be learning new things, but it's also for me as a creator. I want to speak to you guys about things that I'm genuinely interested in. And when they come to my mind, I'm like, fuck, I want to talk about them right now because I feel like it's so easy for us to like, oh, I'm going to talk this week. I'm going to talk about this next week, blah, blah, blah. But for me, I'm a Pisces. So I'm a very emotional person and I just thrive on things when they come to me. And I just thought that I would love to do an episode this week. And it is about all of the things that I have learnt in my 34 years on earth as a woman. What are some of the important, vital lessons or things that I wish I had have known when I was 20. Because there are so many things that I look back on where and look, I don't regret anything. I made plenty of mistakes. We all do. That's how you learn. That shapes who you are as a person. But at the same time, there is a lot of things that you do and you look back on them and I just don't know why I did those. I want this episode to be for anyone, and you know what? These aren't lessons that you have to have learned by a certain age. These are lessons that I have learned in my 34 years, and these are things that I would like to pass on to you. Number one, stop caring about what other people think of you. Stop it. I spent, and I still do to a certain extent, but I spent my 20s being so worried about other people's opinions of me and how I look and how I showed up. And it led to so much wasted resource of myself. The overthinking, the constant judgment, the trying to be perfect. You spend so much time in your own head judging yourself that you forget that nobody is actually thinking about you as much as you think they are. And when you actually understand that, or when you get to a point where you just don't care, you're so much more carefree in the way that you show up in the world and you're so much more authentic. And as a young woman, I was always so stressed out about my appearance and how I looked and how people judged me. And it led me to do stupid things when it came to having pressure on how I looked, struggling with eating, over exercising, anything to try and make your physical appearance more socially acceptable. And one thing that I see and I think is more prevalent now than ever is the fact that your social media creates the reality of what you think is normal in this world. So when you're following all of these influencers that are pretty and skinny and beautiful and fly around the world and get Birkins for their birthday, you need to remember one, that is what you're choosing to bring into your world. If you are following a lot of accounts like that and you are feeling like you're feeling down on yourself or you're feeling down on your appearance, then I really recommend one, that you unfollow accounts that don't make you feel good, or two, remove yourself from social media in general for a period of time. And I will tell you, when I was about 25 to about 27, I did not have any forms of social media at all. And it wasn't because of my own doing, it was because my ex-boyfriend was a psycho. And it was just more trouble than it was worth to have social media. But you know what? During that time, I was going through a really hard stage with my appearance. I'd put on weight, I felt shit about myself. And then having that break, even though I didn't decide it myself, was really, really healthy for me and it made me feel really good. And I will fall back on that these days. If I'm having times where I'm overwhelmed or I feel like I'm taking too much time sitting around scrolling on social media, I will do that. I will give myself a break from social media. So I think that's really important, is that Stop comparing. And this leads me on to my next one is stop comparing yourself to other people. Comparison is a thief of joy. It's the thief of joy. And we all still compare ourselves to people, but I'm at the point where when I do it, I know that I'm doing it and I'm like, I pull myself up. It's so easy to compare yourself to other people, but all that comparing yourself to other people does is makes you feel shit because you're like, fuck, she's skinnier than me, she's prettier than me, she's smarter than me, she's got more money than me, she's further ahead in life than me. And it's like, and then you think, and you just feel crap about yourself. And I think it is one of the biggest things that fucking hurts us these days is comparing yourself to others. Because everybody is on their own journey. Everybody is doing their own things. Yes, some people may be younger. Yes, it maybe appear to be ahead of you. You still have to look at your own timeline and take some, if you are feeling that you compare yourself a lot to where you are in life with other people, I would really recommend that you take some time to reflect on where you are and how far you've come. I know, for example, I find myself comparing, and not to anyone in particular, but it's like I feel like I should be further ahead in my life than I am. And I think that that's really normal for a lot of us because it's ingrained in us to look at other people's life. We see all of the good on social media, and that's what we use to judge our own reality is what we're seeing on social media, which is not reality at all. Because one, you're choosing what the algorithm is choosing for you, depending on what you search, what you look at, what you're into. So in other words, what you're bringing into your reality shapes your reality. So if you're on social media and all you're doing is following people that are posting about how they make 20K a month or 30K a month or 40K a month, in your mind, you're going to think, fuck, I'm so far behind because what I see and what I believe to be real is that exact thing, that people are more further ahead of me than me. They're doing better than me. They're bigger than me. And it's not the case at all. So be very careful about one, who you bring into what you bring into your reality, because two, that will shape what you compare yourself to. Because imagine if you're following your fucking, say for example, you've got a 10-year-old sister and you're following her on social media. You're not going to be looking at her social media every day and saying, oh my God, I'm so far behind. Do you know what I mean? But when you're looking at somebody that is far further ahead of you or chooses to put that onto social media or into reality, then yes, you are going to. And that's just a matter of the fact. So be very specific about who you bring into your reality. This moves me to my next one, number 3. And I cannot preach this enough for women, for young girls, for anyone, is that don't ever let anybody else control you. Don't let them control you. It doesn't have to be, it can be a relationship, it can be a friendship, it can be family members. If somebody is telling you how to live your life, or making you feel as though the way that you want to live your life or the way that you are choosing to live your life is not good enough and it is not in a healthy aspect, then you need to get rid of them. I know, for example, in my 20s, I spent nearly all of my early 20s in relationships with guys that were dickheads, losers. And I let them control me. I let them judge me. I let them make me feel like shit, put me down. I went out of my way. I went above and beyond to try and make things work with people that were not good for me, that didn't have my best interests at heart truly. And it wasn't because they were technically bad people. It was because they had their own problems. They were unhealed humans. Sorry, that's my dog. Entree, do you want to come up here? Come on. Good boy. This is Entree, girls. He's a little mini schnauzer and he loves to spend time with us. I'm home today and he'll be my shadow for the entire day. I don't know if he's going to stay with us, but whatever. Really, really important because that was one thing that I look back on and I'm like, allowed myself to be in relationships with guys that made me feel shit about myself in general. I allowed myself to be in relationships with guys that controlled me and told me what I could and couldn't do. I allowed myself to be in relationships with guys that used to judge me and make me feel shit about myself. And just surrounded myself with men that had no go about them. They weren't going anywhere in life. And I was sitting there trying to fix them. And that is never, ever going to happen. This is just a reminder that if you are in a relationship with somebody, or if you have friends that don't support you or try to control you, or you have family members that are doing that, that you need to hop. What are you doing? Okay. That you need to realize that the only person that can make better choices for you and tell you how to live your life is you. Is you. And that leads me to my next point, is that nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. And this is across the board. I remember when I was young, I used to think, oh, I'm going to have some fucking Prince Charming that's going to come along. He's going to look after me, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into relationships and you realize that, one, they're not Prince Charming. Two, they can't even look after themselves, let alone look after you. So don't ever fucking go into a relationship or any kind of relationship, regardless, thinking that the outcome is going to be that you're going to be saved. Do you want to sit down? Or you need to hop down? Come on. Good boy. Go sit somewhere else. I'll hang out with you soon. And that is so, I can't with this dog. And that is so important to remember, because I know when I was in my early 20s, I just always thought that someone was going to come along and save me. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s and I had chose to end an engagement and moved on by myself that I spent 3 good years on my own figuring my shit out, that I realized that no one was ever going to come and save me. And that even if somebody did, what they wanted was never going to specifically give me exactly what I wanted. Because you have to remember that, is that when you have someone that you rely on, or if you're looking for somebody who's going to look after you financially or support you, they are always going to want things to be done on their terms. So just remember that, is that if you are looking to have some kind of full-on support by somebody else, that, remember, is going to be by their own rules. And if you are a woman that wants to do her own thing, wants to live her own life, wants to make her own choices, then that's not an option for you. Because what will happen is that you will become resentful, you will get angry, and in the beginning, you may think that it's a good idea, but eventually your true self and your true desires and your true wants will come out. And when you start to realize that you're not going to get exactly what you want, or the storybook is not playing exactly to the way that you had it sorted out or figured out in your own mind, you will start to get the shits and realize that I'm not getting things the way that I want them. And there is nothing wrong with that, because there is nothing wrong with wanting certain things for your life. There is nothing wrong with you having certain expectations or wanting to meet certain goals. There is nothing wrong with that. But just remember that when that is the case, that it entirely comes down to you. 100%. Everything that you want comes down to you. And I cannot stress that enough. My next point would be, surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people that are making good decisions for themselves and have your best interests at heart. Because, like they say, that you are the closest 3 people that you have around you is going to shape your reality, shape your personality. And that brings me back to my first point, is when I remember and I was saying that the people that you watch on social media are very, very similar to the people you have in your very close circle. Because if you've got 2 best mates that you live with and you're trying to start your own business, save money, do something really good for yourself, work full time, and you've got 2 best friends that you live with that don't work, like to do drugs and party every weekend, that's not in alignment with the person that you want to be. And as much as you may love those people and as much as you may want to spend time with them, you need to pick your environments very carefully because your environments will shape you 100%. I know in my early 20s, I did a lot of partying. I worked in hospitality in bars and clubs and things like that. And I am a very strong person. So I'm not the kind of person that is going to be peer pressured into anything at all. I make my own decisions and I'm happy with that. But in the same aspect, I look back on my 20s and I'm like, I know my potential and what I'm capable of. And I do sometimes think to myself, Memphis, why didn't you push yourself harder? And you know what? The reason why I did never push myself harder is because I didn't have any faith in myself. I didn't have any confidence in myself. I had never had somebody in my life that actually gave me that real confidence that I could do anything that I wanted, that I could be anything that I wanted, that I could create anything that I wanted. And that's not to blame anybody else in my life because that is not the case at all. But I didn't have that. And because I didn't have that confidence in myself, I just didn't think that I was worth more or that I deserved more or that I could reach higher potentials than what I did. And what actually helped me through that is just getting older. And when you're slowly changing your careers, you're changing relationships, and things are constantly going and changing, it was really that reflection of looking back for me, that real reflection of looking back on where I started when I was really young to where I am now. And I'm like, fuck, you know what? I've done a great job. I'm actually really proud of myself. And it's one of these things that since I have turned 30, I have never had more confidence in myself or who I am, or the things that I want to do. And I've really got to a point where I don't care about what other people think of me anymore. I really don't care because you only get one life. And I've mentioned this a few times this week, but my motto is I do not want to look back on my life when I'm 70 years old and think to myself, I regret not taking chances. I regret not doing that. And this leads me to my next tip, which is take chances. Andre, he's so needy. He is so needy. You need to stop being so needy. Come on. Take chances. Take chances when you're young. Book the flight. Go and hang out and meet new people. Go and put yourself in places and positions where I really can't. He's just kind of have to hop down. You're too much now. Put yourself in positions where you feel scared. Do things that that push you out of your comfort zone. Do not sit in your comfort zone for your 20s because that is when you will grow. That is where the real growth will come, is trying new things, putting yourself in new environments, going out of your way, learning new skills, meeting new people. Use your 20s to really learn how to communicate and be in front of different people and speak to people of different diversities. And I learned this specifically, I was actually reflecting on this yesterday, I learned this from working in hospitality. Hospitality teach how to talk to anyone. And it gives you a lot of confidence in situations that aren't, like how to be around people that are intoxicated and things like that, how to stick up for yourself. A lot of my confidence when it came to sticking up for myself and speaking up for myself came from working in hospitality, because there was so many instances where I had to deal with people that were drunk, intoxicated, and tell them basically to fuck off. It's one of the things that helped me grow my confidence. So that for me would be the biggest thing, is that put yourself in situations where you don't feel that you are fully capable of, because what will happen is that you will grow. And what comes out from the other side of growth is that you will have more confidence in yourself. You will feel better. So don't stick in a box. Do not tell yourself that you are a specific person that needs to do specific things, because you don't know when you're young who you are yet. You don't really know what you want unless you're like some super, super confident person. I'm going to do this, because when you're in your 20s, I feel like you may be like that, but then there'll be a certain age, it's usually around when you turn 30, where you'll have this thing where, like, I don't know if this is for me anymore. I think maybe I should change something. I don't know if what I've been working towards is really going to work out for me. And this is not for everyone, but I know this was for me. And this is because I don't know if you will resonate with this. Some girlies will, some girlies won't. But if you Google Saturn return and read about what your Saturn return is, and you will have more of an understanding of why, when you're about 30, that shit changes and you feel different about yourself, because there's a massive change that happens astrologically that affects you. And I see it now. I will look at people like 30. My little sister had one. She had a Saturn return, and like her life changed dramatically. Mine, when I was 30, I left my fiance, changed my whole life. All of my best friends have been through circumstances when they're about 30, which is their Saturn return, that have dramatically changed their life. So it's really fucking interesting. And I would also, if you are like 29, 30 and you're feeling like a little bit off, or you're feeling like life is not what you thought it would be, just Google your Saturn return and you may have more of an understanding of why shit is going the way that it is. This leads me to my next point, and that would be dream big. Dream big. Dream big, and also don't ever allow yourself to believe that things aren't possible and that you aren't capable of things. Because dreaming is something that, if you believe that it is possible, if you have a thought, then I can tell you that it's most likely possible. But the only way for it to be possible is to take action. And I've spoken about this in some of my previous episodes, is that dreams are great, but they need action behind them. That's as well as intention. Intentions are great, but you need to take action. And that would be my next point, is take action. If you have something that you want to do, or you have something that you want to achieve, then you need to take action. Take action. It's so vital that you put yourself in situations that you feel uncomfortable. You take action towards things that you want to, but also that you recognize and realize that when things don't work out, you need to look at it in a perspective of, what have I learned from this? Has it shown me what I don't want as opposed to what I do want? Because that is just as important. Like I've mentioned earlier, your 20s are for working out who you are, what you actually want in life, and then laying down the road to get you there. You don't know if you don't like something unless you try it. So be open-minded. Be open-minded to possibilities. Be open-minded to the different goals and the different things that you have. And don't put yourself in a box where you feel as though this is the life that I've chosen for myself and this is what I have to do. You can make a change at any time and any point that you want to. And this just comes back down to the fact that you are the one that needs to make these changes and do things towards the life that you're working towards, because nobody else is going to be able to. Do not allow other people to lead the direction of your life. And that is massive for me. I know when I was in my 20s, it's like especially if you're in relationships, as women, I think it's very easy for us to get caught up in being exactly what our partner wants us to be, or what we perceive that we want them to be. And what happens with that a lot of the time is that you will start to mold yourself into what you think they want and what you think they need you to be in order for you to be the best person that you can for them. And all that will happen and all that will become of this is that you will get burnt out. Eventually, you will get fucking sick of it, and you will take that mask off, and then they will be like, who is this person? And you will realize, this isn't for me. You cannot pretend forever. You cannot show up as somebody that you think somebody else wants and sacrifice yourself forever, because it will lead to so much resentment. It will lead to so much self-hatred, and it will just cause drama for you in general, because you will get yourself into situations where you are like, this is not what I want. How the fuck do I get myself out of this? And when you get tired of being the person that you think they want you to be, or they want you to be, it will just drain the hell out of you, and you'll be like, I don't know if I can't do this anymore. That's another thing is, and this leads me to my next point, is be authentic. Don't be scared to be yourself. You are unique. You are special. You are That's what makes the universe so cool, is that everybody is different, everybody is unique. And that would be one of the most important things that one of my most deep seated like morals, thoughts, and beliefs is that everybody is different and it is so special. If everybody was the same, how boring would the world be? So I look at everybody, no matter who they are, no matter what they think, if they have different thoughts, if they have different beliefs, if they have different opinions, that is okay. And you should welcome that into your life and in your space, because you need to have different perspectives. Do not put yourself in a position where you're always surrounded by people that think the exact same thoughts as you and have the exact same opinions as you, because you need your mind to be stretched, and your mind will not be stretched if you are in a like-minded situation all of the time. So welcome different opinions, welcome people that have different thoughts, because everybody has lived a different life. And you will find a lot of the time that people have lived some really interesting lives, really interesting, and they've been through things, because we're all human. And when you start to understand that and be open to that, one, you will just find it so much easier to accept people where they're at, because you can look at someone and say, hey, I understand where this person's at. I respect that they are an individual and that's who they are. And their thoughts, their perspectives, their beliefs, all of that, I'm not going to let that weigh me down or think that the way that I think is wrong or different, because it's not. It's just be open minded to it. Like if someone has completely different perspective than you, use it as a tool to grow. Like, hey, why do you think like that? Or find out what has shaped them to be and be that kind of person and think like that, because it's really interesting. And I've always been a person that's been open to different people. And I love that. I love talking to people of different diversities and people with different stories, especially older people. They always have the best story. Just understanding what shaped their reality and what shaped their life. And guarantee you, I spent so much time working in hospitality with older folk, and they will always leave you realizing that life has so many possibilities, and you never know what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to become. Like you can make a choice that takes you down a completely different road, a completely different path. And it's just that it opens your eyes up to the possibility. And I've always really loved having conversations with older people because I just love it. And that leads me to my final point. And my final point is that what you visualize and what you see for your life right now may be very different to the way that your life is going to be in 5 years' time. So, really, it's about being open minded, but being able to deal with change and actually welcoming change into your life. I know when I was in my early 20s, I used to be really scared of change or endings that would come about in my life. And I would just think it was the end of the goddamn world. Like you break up with somebody, you just think your life is just over. It's the worst possible thing ever. But my final piece of advice would be that every ending is a new beginning. And I now, as an adult, I look forward to, or if I have something that doesn't go to plan, or if something doesn't work out for me, I always know that there's a reason behind it. Something better is coming. Because I look back at my life and all those things that didn't work out, and I tell you right now, I am grateful, so grateful that none of those things worked out, because it led me to be exactly where I am today. And all of those created me as the person that I am today and the person that I show up as. So that would be my final piece of advice, is that when you have something that ends or doesn't work out the way that you want it to, look at it in a positive perspective and tell yourself that better is coming. Because I guarantee you, if you are going through something right now that you feel like end of the world, you will look back on it 5 to 10 years from now and you will be like, thank God that didn't work out for me. Because the way that the world works and the way the universe works is that it wouldn't give you anything that wasn't meant for you. So that's my final piece of advice. Now, I would like to thank you for joining me and Entree on this week's episode of Girls Who Get It. I am, like I said to you earlier, I'm just in the mind frame where if I feel like talking about something, I'm going to talk to you about it because I feel like it comes from the heart when I talk about it like that, as opposed to me being like, oh, this is what I'm talking about next week. This is what I'm talking about next week. This is what I'm talking about next week. So thank you for listening. Join me next week for a new podcast to be confirmed. And just remember, I'm not an influencer. I'm a human being, and so are you.